Hey guys, welcome to today's topic. Yeah, as usual, share, like, subscribe, send your suggestions to me. Your comments and suggestions are what keeps this channel growing, and also give me the topic for today. So most guys have been asking me, tell us about racism. Is there racism in Germany? We hear there is a lot of racism in Germany, and all of us know the history in Germany. We've learned it somewhere in school or online, of course. So that is the question that I'm getting recently from you guys. Is there racism in Germany? Have you experienced racism? What kind of racism is there in Germany? So it's actually a very good question to ask. Yeah, I know most of you have that question. I also had the question. I also had that concern before coming here. But here we are. So I'm going to share my own story. I believe that racism is actually a personal experience. That is my belief. And before I even go ahead and maybe explain or tell my story, I would like to ask you a question. Yeah, as an African or in diaspora or back at home, or what do you think? Is there tribalism back at home, or have you ever experienced tribalism where you are? What do you think about tribalism? Don't answer me that question, but answer yourself and then keep that in mind. We are going to come back to that answer at the end of this video. So I'd like to say regarding racism, you will have to define racism first of all for yourself. Yeah, I believe that, like I've said, racism is a personal experience, and it is always said that you should never begin an investigation, with a presumption of guilt, with some sort of prejudice. So before coming here, I think it is a better thing to do, or the best thing to do, is try to keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. Don't travel with that attitude or with that mentality that I am going to experience racism in Germany, because in that case, I think there is a lot of instances that you are going to think that you have experienced racism, or that you have been racially discriminated against. So it is also good to keep an open mind. Yeah, and because of that, I'm going to maybe speak about my own personal definitions of racism. Yeah, and I'm going to put it into maybe 4 categories. Yeah, so I'll start with one which is subtle. I regard that as subtle racism. Yeah, I call that subtle racism. Yeah, like I've said, that is a personal experience. It depends with how you process information, or how you think, or how you relate to other people and all that, or how you interpret also the information or the messages that are directed to you. So subtle racism, I will say, is like let me put it this way. For example, most Africans I've talked to here, I've actually described this situation where you go and sit in a bus or in a train, and you realize later along the journey, you realize, actually, I am alone in this seat. Like, other seats have 2-3 people, they are full, but I have my own 3-seater alone here. So I personally consider that subtle racism, because it's like you can actually choose to ignore it. You can choose to put your headphones on, or take a book and read while looking outside, enjoying the view, and you go where you are without anything bad, or anything bad taste, experiencing anything bad. Yes, that is an example of subtle racism that I'll say. The other one is getting looked at, gazed at. I also consider that subtle racism, because I think that is the same experience with when white people come to our countries, how they are looked at, especially by children or by curious people who have never seen maybe people who look like that. Yeah. So I also consider that subtle racism, and you will encounter that in supermarkets, in the streets, and all that. Yeah, but I consider that subtle. I consider that as just curiosity. Yeah, it's just the curiosity from the people here. So I smile, you say hi, and then you mind your own business, and you go ahead with your stuff. Yeah. There are, of course, many other instances of subtle racism. Yeah, but as we dig deeper, then I think it is possible maybe for you to categorize what you think I'm saying into your own maybe yeah into your own words, or using your own categories. Yeah, but I will go for racism number two, which I have also experienced, this verbal, or yeah, let me just call it verbal. Yeah. And in verbal, there are two types. There is one that is maybe friendly or ignorant, and there is abusive. There is abusive. I've experienced actually the two types, yeah. But I would say that the abusive, let me start with the abusive one, because I think that is the one most people are afraid of, yeah. The abusive one, I experienced it when I attended a match in München, Bayern München match in the stadium, Allianz Arena. And of course, there you will get those people, which I consider, I will not say the word, but yeah, which I consider actually, yeah, you are just, it's none of my business, yeah. So you'll hear people like making noises, those monkey noises. I'm sure you've heard those things. Maybe you've seen all that stuff in the news, in the internet, and all that, yeah. So you when you go to a place that is so crowded, you are of course going to meet different kinds of people, yeah. I went with a friend there who is a German, and actually he was the one who was trying to tell me, yeah, you just ignore those guys, yeah. So it is important to know that there are people here who are racist. There are people here who maybe get a feeling of accomplishment, or a feeling of worthiness when they try to trigger you, and then you reply back, yeah. So I personally believe that the best method is just to ignore this kind of people. So I just went ahead and watched my match in Allianz Arena. It was a good match, and it was my one-time experience. It's something that I always wanted to do in the Allianz Arena, but that is a story for another day. So that is the verbal abusive, but there is also the verbal and ignorant. So there are people who are going to say things to you, but they are just ignorant, yeah. Those are the things that, like, that is also a topic for another day, but most people here are actually ignorant. They don't know about Africa. They don't know that Africa is not a country, it's a continent with many countries. And so you will hear some things like, does food grow in Kenya? Or did you come here out of your own willingness, or are you forced to come here? Of course, from the story of slavery, you'll hear things like, do you have water back home? Do you have electricity? So I consider those ignorant, because that is a person most of the time you are having a one-on-one conversation with, yeah. Of course, there is the internet. Sometimes these days, in the beginning, I used to answer them and tell them, you can check out, or no, I actually come from my country is actually well off, and you can experience you can actually live with the same standard of life that you experience here in Europe, yeah. But as time went, these questions became so annoying. So I started maybe telling them, there is internet. You, as an adult, you are responsible for what you believe as an adult, yeah. And basically, that is what I have been holding up to, and that is what I have been using to, just to bash off these questions, and so some of those I call ignorant, ignorant verbal kind of racism, yeah. And there is also another one which you will experience with maybe the people close to you. Germans have a very weird sense of humor, where I came to realize, I don't know whether it's from the bullying in school, but that is also a story we can talk another day. So they tend to make jokes, like they look for that corkscrew. It's called a corkscrew. If you've read the book 48 Laws of Power, so there is like your weakness, yeah. They will look for something that triggers you, and then they are going to keep turning that corkscrew to keep triggering you until you, I don't know what is the intention of that. I think it's supposed to maybe make you immune to such kind of abuse, or maybe to accept yourself. But I think personally, at first I didn't used to care, but it became so frequent that I started now telling them, now, I don't like it. You guys need to put a boundary. You need to stop doing all that stuff, or making such jokes, yeah. So I think the most important thing here, like I've said in my previous videos, is to create boundaries. Yeah, do not allow people here to make jokes about you or how you look, or they say it like it's a joke, like it's supposed maybe to be no see usichukulie vibaya, don't take offense, but usually if you allow them to continue, they are going to keep stepping harder. They are going to keep on stepping into your space more and more and more. So the best thing I think is once you come here, in Germany, try to create boundaries and just let them know when they say something that you think is inappropriate. Yeah, just tell them right away, I don't like that, and don't repeat it, or don't say that to me again. And yeah, I actually find that they actually respect that. They respect boundaries, and they will not try to trigger you on those boundaries again if you let them know. But if you do not tell them, they are going to continue because they think that it's a way of interaction. It's a weird way of interaction here of friendliness. I think back at home, such kind of talks are reserved for very, very deep friendships or family ties. Yeah, like the way I can tell you, unakuanga hivi nini kama hizo, yeah, such stuff. Yeah, so those things we reserve those things back at home for people that we really close to. But here you can meet somebody in the first day, they start just throwing those jokes around. Yeah, so that is the other kind of the verbal, maybe friendly racism that like I've said, you have to, depending on your on your what do I say, profile, you can decide to put boundaries or you can decide to tolerate it. It's up to you. So institutionalized racism, I think this is where most people when we think of racism, this is actually what racism, I think, from history is. Yeah, and this is I will say that this is something that personally I have not experienced. That is institutionalized racism is where maybe you go to a hotel and they refuse to serve you, and they tell you this hotel is not for black people, or maybe you are seeking a service like in a bank, and you are told, or you see that they don't want to serve you because you are a black person. So such kind of treatment, personally, I have not experienced that. But I do understand that there are people who have actually experienced that. There are people who have had stories of people who have gone into a hotel and they've been told, unfortunately, you will have to leave. Yeah, you'll have to leave. I think most of this big racism that makes you feel discriminated against happens mostly in big cities. When you go to the Berlins, when you go to the München, Köln, Frankfurt. But personally, I am in a small village town. I'm in a small village town. So here, I think people tend to be, yes, there is also a lot of history here, very bad history. I will not talk about it today. But the people here tend to be more, I think, communal, I would say, more communal and more accommodating, yeah, minding their own business, yeah. And it is also the case because here almost everyone knows everyone. So I can actually be able to identify who has maybe done something, or they can be identified by people who are close to me. So I think that sort of discourages such kind of things in small towns. I have not lived in a big city in Germany, so I do not know the state there, but I have heard stories of what happens there. But like I've said, this kind of discrimination, this level of discrimination, I personally have not experienced up to now. And yeah, I think I would say there is also, I would put that maybe that with the same as the friendly one. There is the curiosity, of course, maybe children coming to touch your skin, and I don't know how you take that, but I personally take that as curiosity. I mean, I've seen a video of Mzungu who was in Kenya, and there were children just coming to touch his skin and see, what is this? Where does this guy come from? How does it feel to touch such kind of a human? And I think that is normal also. When I personally, that is how I take it. I don't know how other people take it, but I take that as just curiosity, especially coming from children. There are also adults who will want maybe to touch like your hair and say, oh, your hair, oh my God, it feels nice. So I don't take that, personally, I don't take that offensively. I take that as just curiosity, and of course, yeah, just it's intriguing to see, of course, how different people look, and just acknowledge that people are all the same, regardless of how different they look. So personally, I don't take that yeah, offensively. Yeah. So to end this conversation, I think I will say, like I've said, in big cities you are definitely going to experience to come into contact with more people, and of course, the more people you come into contact with, the more that nerve is going to be touched, the nerve of racism. Yeah, you're going to meet people who are going to call you names. You're going to meet people who are going to treat you differently or even violently. There is even cases of violent encounters, but I personally have not experienced. Like I've said, I wouldn't want to talk about something that has not happened to me. So something that has not happened to me, I'm not going to talk about it. But basically, that is what I have experienced. And so I will come back to the question that we began this video with. Is there tribalism back at home? Have you experienced tribalism where you are, if you are back at home, or if you come from Africa? And if the answer is yes, there is a high chance that you have also experienced racism in the West. Because like I have said, it is like a nerve, a muscle that is trained. Yeah. So I personally believe that there are some people who do not intend to discriminate you or make you feel like they have abused you, but they have actually said something that you did not like, or that you questioned and thought, okay, what did he mean by saying that, or what did she mean by saying that? Yeah, but I have encountered people that actually did not mean to offend you or to harm you by saying things or by doing things. Yeah, so it's a clash of cultures. Yeah. In case I learned something new, of course, I will share with you guys. But as of now, those are my experiences. I've heard of racism in schools. I've heard of racism and bullying in other areas. But like I've said, as of now, that is just hearsay, and I wouldn't want to talk about hearsay here. So if you have any questions, any suggestions, any comments, feel free to comment. Feel free to DM me, and share this video to your friends and everyone, and help this channel to grow. Otherwise, thank you guys, and see you in the next one. Bye.